So I'm willing to put my money, well, it's actually your money as taxpayers where my mouth is, and my career, that I'll follow through on my commitments in my plan, in Millions Jobs Plan. So it's not simply the end, it is steps along the way. So in 2 years, we will balance the budget in the province of Ontario, or I'll step aside. We will move immediately to turn off the feed-in tariff program that's driving up our energy rates and costing us jobs, or I'll step aside. I will eliminate the College of Trades that prevents 200,000 people from getting good jobs in the skilled trades, or I'll step aside. Each step along the way, 1 million jobs, we're going to do.
So the deficit percent?
I understand the cynicism because you've seen a government that has over and over again broken their promises. And how many times have you seen that old trick that, my God, the cupboards are bare, therefore everything is out the window? No, none of that. And I think you're right. The mess is actually going to be worse than we know. I think there's no doubt about that. Look at the Mars revelations during this campaign. The gas plant today, pardon me, Pan Am, right? So there's going to be a huge mess. But what do we do in that circumstance? We'll reduce spending and cut out the waste. We'll have to do that because we are going to keep that commitment. It is so important to balance the budget because that is the #1 thing I hear from job creators. But what's interesting is, do I hear from job creators energy prices are too high? For sure, especially in industry. Do I hear there's too much red tape? 100%, particularly in areas like hospitality. And do I hear from industry that taxes are too high? With a bullet. But the #1 thing I hear, if you want us to invest in Ontario, you got to get your fiscal house in order. First day, I will announce a slimmed-down cabinet of 16 ministers. That's a 40% reduction from the bloated 27 that Kathleen Wynne has. It's instructive. One of her first decisions when she became Premier was to increase her cabinet. She has now more people in cabinet than outside of cabinet. Anybody who wants to be in my cabinet will sign an oath to Ontario that says they're going to have standards. So if a cabinet minister doesn't reach his or her goals on reducing red tape in their ministry or hitting their financial targets and balance the budget, I'll dock their pay. And if I have a minister who gets a toe in the water with the type of scandals we've seen, like eHealth, Orange, the gas plant scandal, they're out of cabinet. And that sets a signal, a tone, awful darn quick to everybody else, right, that there is a new standard in town. It's called ministerial accountability. It's vitally important.
It was always said of Bill Davis that on the first day that his cabinet ministers came in, and it's apocryphal, but I don't know if it's true, but it sounded like a great idea, they submitted their undated letters of resignation.
Interesting. I might have to try that.
So that he always had the option.
I never thought of that.
You think that you might do that?
Yeah, sure. I like that. I like that notion, right? I mean, I've been in this business for 18 years, and you know what the standard of expectation is. And as soon as that standard gets watered down, so goes the quality of your efforts. It's just human nature. By way of example, nobody ever paid a price for the gas plant scandal or Orange, OLG, so the scandals keep happening over and over again. The problem right now is that the game is fixed. The table stakes are crooked. You've got negotiations, union leaders on one side, government union leaders, and then politicians rented by government union money on the other. Right? What they're trying to do with these ads is elect a legislature of the compliant who are going to bend to their demands for higher wages, benefits, and pensions and try to intimidate the rest of us. So when you've got the government union leaders on one side, and you've got the politicians rented by the government unions on the other, they win, taxpayers lose. The problem with the Liberals is they're lousy poker players. The unions always knew they were going to cave. Right? And you guys have covered extensively what's happened with the OPP union, that they came to me and they said, we want an exemption, we want you to look the other way, the police are different. And look, the police are different. There's no job like it in the Ontario Public Service, for sure. But they still get their wages frozen, just like us as politicians and across the board. And then they went to the Liberals, and then they decided to do ads to attack us. So you're telling me that there wasn't some sort of deal, cooked up there, what was promised? The teachers' unions pushed back against the Liberals. When we got them finally, you guys were covering this, we finally got the Liberals kicking and screaming to say the words wage and freeze in the same sentence. So they finally brought in the wage freeze on the teachers. Teachers, by the way, have had a wage increase close to 30% in the Liberal government. So wage freeze is a very reasonable, it's the least you can do.
Will you change the rules around third-party advertising if you become?
Yeah, I will. And do I have the exact bill all written up? I don't, but a couple of my colleagues have done some work on this, like Ted Arnott, right, has brought forward a bill on this. The reality is that the government unions can simply increase the fees to their members, and they've instantly have millions of dollars to spend on political action campaigns. It's not fair, and that's not what union dues are supposed to be there for. So some options here are saying union members can say no to their dues being used for political causes. That's actually in our plan. Look, they've been using union dues to attack Israel, to support student protesters in Quebec. Like, what the heck does that have to do with the workplace? There are needless, expensive, meddling middle management bureaucracies that are milking our system that we simply no longer need. You would be amazed at how much government you're never going to miss. Top of my list, Drive Clean. Like, this is an example of a program that had its day, but is no longer relevant. And why do we treat people to a tax and a hassle every 2 years on their birthday? Just keep bureaucrats employed. That's not what we're there for. End the program. Will people lose their jobs? Yes. Do I feel good about that? No. I'm going to create more jobs in the private sector with our plan, so they'll have jobs they can get to. But it's not our job in government to keep bureaucrats on the payroll just for the sake of it. Kathleen Wynne says every bureaucrat's sacred. They're not going to touch a single one. Government's going to grow. That's absolutely mistaken. It's not what government's there for. The Ontario Power Authority has mushroomed to a monster bureaucracy. It started at 12, invented by the Liberals, by the way. 12 bureaucrats, 250 now, 84 of whom are making $100,000 a year or more. And what do? Their entire purpose is to make your hydro bill more expensive. I would trade 2,000 health bureaucrats for 2,000 personal support workers and nurses any day. We do this to protect the front lines, right? Every dollar that goes into waste, that goes into 222 Jarvis, that goes into that new Mars building, that's a dollar taken with the front lines. So nurses, we're actually going to have more through our plan, which is the right thing to do, not because I'm going on a spending spree, the opposite, because healthcare is going to grow because of demographics. Does that mean you're going to have more frontline people at, driver's license renew centers? Well, no, if you get better technology and you get things done online and better service, no. But for those that are actually delivering frontline services, those are positions I want to protect. And the only way to protect them is to spend within your means. Teachers, EAs for special needs kids, every dollar directed towards special needs will go towards services for special needs kids. There are, however, 9,600 bureaucrats who are non-teaching personnel, not in the classroom, that Don Drummond said we don't need anymore. Affordable energy means more jobs. Expensive energy means fewer. Lower taxes means investment in more jobs. Higher taxes means fewer. More free trade opportunities means we're going to sell more products and create more jobs. Putting up trade barriers means fewer. So you can have an argument among economists, who quite frankly you could string end to end and still not reach a conclusion, that old expression. And they can project whether it's going to be 800,000, a million, or 1.5 million. We all know we're heading in the right direction. All of these policies are going to create an environment for job creation.
What about the thing about person years that you counted 1-year jobs 8 times?
Yeah, well, it's nonsense, right? This is what the Liberals have used to try, because they can't argue with us on the facts, so they try to distort this notion, right? They took one footnote on one particular aspect and then try to project it across the rest of our plan.